Hey everybody, welcome back to some more Baldur's Gate. I think this is episode 7, and what are we actually doing? We're gonna go back to Baragost, actually, and keep doing things here. Unfortunately, I think I'll probably look it up later, to see if there is actually a lock on the quest, like if you don't pick up the note, you're locked out. But we found the note for Mirian's husband, and then we didn't keep it on us, so I'm assuming that counts as not having the information, which is kind of dumb. But if that is one quest that we're locked out of, whatever happens. In the meantime, we're going to explore more stuff. Now, there are these houses that you can't actually see the doors of that you can get into. Sometimes. Jeez.
Oh, you bet.
Imoen, go check shelves and things like that for us. Books. History of the Fateful Coin. Old tells tale that luck plays a crucial role in each person's life. When each newborn baby enters into the realms, Timora flips a coin formed from the remnants of the original goddess of luck, Tyche. Bashaba calls it in the air. The moon heads or the cloak tails. Bashaba is right. That person is cursed with misfortune for the rest of his or her days. If she's wrong, Lady Luck smiles on that child for the rest of his or her life. For some rare beings, the coin lands edge on, and these luckless few can forge their own fates, for they have more freedom over their destinies than the powers themselves. Stuff. What's this? History of the Drow, the Dark Wars. The warlike Drow nature did not change when they escaped their surface foes during the descent. In fact, they immediately launched a series of wars to establish territories in the Underdark. They began by stealing and seizing dwarven magical items and using them against the dwarves, establishing an enmity that is still strong today. The Drow then fought amongst themselves, noble against noble, priest against priestess, for rule of their new realm. This all-out war ended amid great magical explosions, which brought down the roof of the largest dwarven cavern they had seized, Great Berendon? I don't know. The ceiling collapsed entirely, burying many drow and the shattered dwarven cities. The cavern, now open to the sky, became known as the Great Rift. The surviving drow nobles gathered what people, slaves, and equipment they could seize and fled into the Underdark in search of places to dwell. The scattering brought about the many rival, self-interested cities where most drow live today. That's pretty cool. Pretty interesting. There's
I've done had enough of this.
a trap detected. Okay, so we... Nice! What else do we got? History of the Last March of the Giants. East of the Great Rift, in the eastern Shar, once stood a land of the Titans. This empire rose at the dawn of time in Faerun, and its lords thought to challenge the gods in their arrogance. In punishment, the powers cursed the reigning monarch of the land with fascination, and his brethren with devotion. The powers then dropped a star onto the land. The impact of the fallen star created a huge valley later known as the Sea of Fallen Stars. That is a different tale than I know for the Sea of Fallen Stars. Slowly picking up speed, the ball rolled through the Titan nation and onwards to the south. What? Unable to contain his curiosity, the Titan King ran off after the bouncing sphere, and his devoted followers dutifully followed in his tracks. The meteorite rolled on until it reached the Great Sea and vanished into the depths. The monarch dove into the sea, and lemming-like, the entire Titan race dove in after him, never to be seen again. Ashamed at the destruction they had wrought, the powers vowed to keep both curiosity and loyalty firmly in check to avoid such disasters in the future. They have done so to this day, preventing both new ideas from being pursued with any speed and the intelligent races of Toril from ever fully cooperating. That seems like a bullshit book. Oh my god, that is a horseshit story. History of the Moon Sea. Like, whoever wrote that one, like, good job. Holy crap. The Moon Sea has a long history as the border between the elven lands to the south and the darker, more sinister lands to the Ride and Thar, home of dragons and giant and ogre tribes in great multitudes. The deep sea was an excellent barrier to the raiders, as those tribes who sought invasion had to detour around and through the lands that eventually hold Ulash, Zintelkeep, and Hillsfar. The first true settlement in Moonsea was Northkeep, a shining citadel established as a beacon of civilization and a jumping off point for merchants seeking trade with the dwarves of the north, including not only Tethyamar, but the clans of the Cold Lands, who traded their metalwork and craft for much needed magic. In the end, Northkeep was sunk beneath the icy waters of the Moonsea by the inhuman forces, and humankind suffered one of many setbacks in the region. So has been the nature of human habitation for this region since the beginning. Human settlements thrive for a few years, usually through sheer willpower and on the strength of a sharp sword, and then are overrun by goblins, orcs, dragons, beholders, or giants. Lon has fallen and risen again. Ulash is a ruin where a decade ago there was a thriving town. Holberg and Solsprin are empty hulks. Each of the cities of the Moonsea seems threatened with extinction in its turn, then is rebuilt. This cycle may be the reason that only the strongest and most savage survive, even prosper in the lands of the Moonsea. The greatest cities, Hillsfar, Mulmaster, and the impenetrable Zentil Keep, are all ruled by evil people who control their lands with iron grips. The lesser cities, Elventree, Flan, and Thentia, may be less evil, but have a strong, independent, almost chaotic nature. In many ways, the Moonsea is a frontier, with a frontier mentality. Yeah, that tracks. That's pretty spot on for the Moonsea. Boy!
Loser, loser, loser.
Loser, loser, loser! I'm gonna shoot you in the face, kid! I'm not gonna shoot you in the face. But you deserve to be spanked. Absolutely. That's just fucking rude.
Oh, you bet.
Alright, what else do we got going on here? Is there another? There is another house. Ah, it's Firebead! Hey! Next time you pass through Candlekeep, you should read The History of the Bell in the Depths. It's an old favorite of mine I'm sure you would like. Does he recognize us?
Yep.
Let's go talk to him real quick. Firebead, do you recognize us? Oh, you're old Gorian's ward, the lonely kid of Candlekeep. Of course, I heard about the loss of Gorian, and I must give you my deepest condolences. I hope since you've left Candlekeep, you've kept up on with your reading. Oh, the world of books. I was just reading some books, actually. I have heard that a new copy of that wondrous tome, The History of the Fateful Coin, can be had for a pretty penny in one of the stores around here. You can. If you'd be so kind as to buy it for an old man like myself, I'll gladly reimburse you. I'll even give you a little bonus to help in your travels. It must be so hard with Gorian gone. Okay, so we'll keep that in mind. We want The History of the Fateful Coin.
Yep. What you want? I'm gone.
Have Imoen rob this man blind in the meantime. Nice.
This way.
This way. Being all stealthy. Cool. 38. We got a bunch of money here, actually. That's pretty good. That's a nice little haul. Alright, go ahead and leave here.
Oh, you bet.
And then we're gonna check this building. This is just a butler. I don't think there's anything in here, really. The Colaquet family. Hold up a minute. Did we sell that? No. Here it is. The Colquettles family amulet. Let's make a quick save real quick. Please, no visitors today. I'm quite unwell with grief over my missing son. I told the fool not to travel in such times, especially with wife and child in tow, and he would not listen. Now I have no idea where he... Wait, where did you get that amulet? But a scrap left behind by some vulturous Mohawk, which is light. Some fools dared the road to Nashkill and were cut down by bandits. They had no further use for it. It was certainly a piteous sight. A young family cut down in a cowardly raid. This was among their meager belongings. It was my son's. Please, might I have it? I'll go with the. I mean, we're doing a good guy run, right? Of course, sir. It was regretful that I could not have arrived sooner and prevented their deaths. Thank you. Funny, isn't it? How a simple piece of cut glass takes on so much more worth. Please leave me be. Yeah. Okay. So our reputation increases. We get some experience. Nice stuff.
I'm gone.
And in the meantime, we're gonna rob him. Him win. Get to it.
I'm gone.
I feel fine robbing everyone, considering I'm doing all the nice things. What do we got? History of Shadowdale, Part 8. The Time of No Lords. During the period when Kelvin Blackstaff held the pendant of Ashaba, the symbol of the lordship in the Dales, Saloon, widow of the murdered Lord Omri, was the de facto ruler of Shadowdale, though these years were known as the Time of No Lords. Saloon and an adventuring company known as Maine's Band were responsible for driving out the Zental Keep forces and keeping at bay the monsters in the area. The Twisted Tower, the traditional seat of leadership, remained uninhabited following its abandonment by the evil Lord Jordhan? I don't know. Jordhan? And neither Saloon nor the companions of Maine's Band wished to assume the mantle of leader. With time, Maine's Band passed on to other lands and adventures. Cool. I just leave the books where I find them, right? Because if there's ever a quest at a later date that's like, hey, you know, you need this book or something like that, then I can always look up on the wiki, hey, where's this book? And then it'll actually be where it's supposed to be. So what's in here? Amana, let me speak to you. How dare you come into my home uninvited? Back in my adventuring days, such an affront would get you a sword in the backside. If it were not for social convention, I'd give you a right proper thrashing. No need for that. You're obvious experience it, and I wouldn't dream of attacking you. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we'll go with that. For someone who goes about breaking into houses, you certainly appear to have half a brain. Best you use. Well, you know.
This way.
I don't know about that. Lockpick failed. Unfortunate. Let's go upstairs.
I'm gone.
Nice. A bunch of gems. Whole bunch of gems. Good, good, good.
This way.
Okie dokie.
Oh, you bet. Yep.
Who is just yelling in the streets?
Oh, you bet.
Who is there? I was expecting no visitors. Armed are you and probably thieves. No, please don't hurt me. Not a thief. My apologies for having scared you. You were reasonable for the door was closed. There was no accidental way. Please, if you have no business here, then leave. Whatever.
Yes?
Who are you? Just curious, passerbys. It's a lovely home you have here. Look.
This way.
You guys are making it out like I'm stealing from you. I wouldn't do such a thing.
I serve the flaming.
Ah, shit. The flaming fist is here. Fuck. Of course they'd show up sooner rather than later. Oh no. Alright. I will say we don't want to go through that, so let's go ahead and do a quick load. That's my bad. Do a quick load. So we'll talk to him real quick. 3. Yes, of course. Fantastic.
Orion would be proud of your actions.
Yes, he would. Absolutely would. So we read that one. Grab that. Grab that. Get out of here.
Yep.
And we know these people don't have anything really to say, so let's just see if we can sneak in with Imoen. Oh wait, no, this is the lady. She's actually fine. What? What did she have to say? It wasn't anything good. Like, she didn't give us a quest or anything. There we go. Nice. Alright, and we'll sneak in with Imoen on the next house and see if we can avoid any actual problems by having her, by one, not talking to anyone, and two, having her be kind of stealthy about it.
I serve the flaming fist.
I'm gone.
What are you talking about? If you don't catch me, you can't be mad at me. He's gonna be there when we go back downstairs.
I serve the flaming fist.
Yeah. Died. Alright, so that house is obviously just a bad house to try to rob, so we'll avoid that house for now. Next house. I even go into that house? It looks like that's a... Also looks like I can't go into this house. So, cool. We can go up here.
This way.
Sleeping people. Man, I gotta get Imoen's lockpick up further, but I wanted to make sure...
He is a welcome part of this group.
I thank you for your compliment.
Yep. Yep.
Go up to the next one. We'll check these two, and then I think we're mostly done on this side of the city.
I'm gone.
Battle axe. Necklace. Nothing. Me, go talk to the commoner. Something you needed? Who might you be, sir? I might be Borland of Baragos. My door is always open to anyone who might need shelter. You are on your honor not to misuse my trust. May come and go as you wish. Oh,
Yep.
We were just leaving, actually.
Oh, you bet.
Save and head on in here. Now we're in. Jeez. Oh, is this the same guy? Same house?
This way.
Weird.
You need something, stranger?
Okay, no, never mind. I think this is a different house. Absolutely, it's a different. Oh.
You need something, stranger?
Long sword.
You need something,
We
stranger?
follow the righteous path.
Right.
The path of hell.
Do we, Ajantis? Do we really follow the path of Helm? I'm not so sure we actually follow the path of Helm. So, I head over here, clear out the edges of everything.
Yeah?
Pleasant day to you all. My, you look rather handsome decked out in your adventuring garb. That's what you are, isn't it, adventurers? Well, I don't know what you're doing in our little town. From what I hear, the real excitement is happening down in Nashkel. What's going on in Nashkel? From what I heard, there's some sort of trouble happening at the mine southeast of here. And we will be getting to that shortly. Ish. Like 15 hours after we do all of the other side quests. Oh, this game, I swear. Alright, let's start going down. So we've gone through... We haven't gone through here, actually. We've gone through this side of town, basically. We've gone through this chunk of town. We need to go through this area and this area. And yeah. So... Save and pop on in. What do we got?
I'm gone.
MON, start looting the place. Lockpick failed. Dang. We'll have me
you
come
bet.
up here and talk to this commoner.
Hello, mate. You look a friendly
By what
face.
right are you in my house? Sorry for intruding. I was just wondering what you... Leave it once, unless I call the guards.
Need me? Right.
I've done had enough of this. I've done had enough of this.
What's this? History of Estegund. Estegund history follows a different path than those of Durpar and Var. The Gunders were conquered in 551 DR by Reinhar I, war chief of the Arcuans of Dambraith. Estegund regained its independence when Reinhar was slain by the Halruan Archmage by Contil, though the country soon degenerated into a group of small independent city-states. Skirmishes with Var and between the city-states continued for several centuries until a king once again united the country. King Borneal was a skilled ruler, and under him Estegund began to prosper. His descendants did not share his wisdom, and in 1053 DR, King Selkarin more than illustrated this. He had failed to conquer Durpar, and Veldorn resisted his challenges. An avowed misogynist, Selkarin turned his attention to the matriarchy of Dambraith. He led a large fleet to attack Dambraith, taking extreme losses, including his own life. Selkarin died childless, so his brother Seltarir was crowned king. The new ruler faced a country with most of its fighting men gone and an unforeseen problem, famine. The famine was caused by a blight that wiped out nearly all the year's crops in Estegund. This made him eager for a deal posed by the Triparian merchant Jeradim, and in a legendary trade, the entire country of Estegund was sold. Contrary to popular rumor, Seltarir did not trade away the country for 24 pearls. In actuality, he received diamonds worth almost 1,000,000 gold pieces. The sudden wealth gave him an instant seat on the Council of Merchants, so he retained a measure of rule in addition to his fortune. Chaka Seltarir is still the richest Chaka in Estegund to this day. In the years that followed, the Gunders began rebuilding their lives under their new circumstance, and now they compete on equal footing with the merchants of Durpar and Var. That's pretty interesting. Lore. Sleeping dwarf, sleeping man. Let's get out of here. Before this woman calls the cops.
Yep.
Alright. Next up. Oh, it's locked. MON, unlock that door.
I've done had enough of this.
Nice job, MON.
I've done had enough of this.
Life's been getting prickly on me all
Blame yourself. No need to call the guards. I just had a desire to see this fine house from within. I don't know who, if you're a fool or a liar, but it's best for thee that I cannot decide. You have a chance to leave before I call the watchman. Best that you make your next move a wise one. Let's see if he actually will call the watchman. Book.
Good on you if you say
History of the Dales in the Elven Court. The founding of the Dale lands long preceded the creation of any of the existing Dales by hundreds of years. The year numbering system known as the Dale Reckoning is actually a commemoration of humankind being given permission to settle in the lands north and west of the Inner Sea. Most of the current Dales are relative newcomers, the older having been abandoned, destroyed, or overrun long ago. In those ancient days when Suzail and Chondothan, now called Serloon, were mere coastal trading posts, the elves who ruled this forest entertained a request from settlers from the east, refugees and farmers from far-off Impiltur and Damara. This request was to farm and settle the borders of the great forest Cormanthor. In particular, the rich delves and dales along the rivers Arkan and Ashaba. These newcomers did not wish to lumber or clear the inhabited forest, but only to settle on the rich territories on its edge. And unlike some other settlers, early Symbia comes to mind, were willing to ask permission. The lords of the Elven court granted that request in return for the aid of these new Dalelanders against outside aggression, both monstrous forces, orcs and goblins from the lands of Thar, and human, the rising powers in Cormyr and Symbia. In commemoration of this pact, humans and elves raised the Standing Stone that is now seen where the Moonsea Ride reaches Rauthofir's Road, the road from Asimbra to Hillsfar. It is from the date of the raising of this stone that Dale reckoning is counted. According to the pact made, the Dalesmen would only settle those regions that were unforested or unclaimed by the elves. As the elven woods receded under the axes of further invaders and settlers, old dales perished and new ones came into being along the borders of the woods. People, both good and bad, have raised petty nations in the Daleland since, though any one dale that turned against the pact would have to deal with the others. Each of the dales is a large swath of farms and fields with a few scattered settlements and usually one central marketplace, capital, or dale center. These centers are often, but not always, named after the dales they are in, adding to the confusion as to what is a Daleland's territory, because they're all over the freaking place. The Dales are not city-states, for their largest groupings of population rate as towns at best. They lack the defensive walls common throughout the Heartlands. They are neither true nations in the fashion of Cormyr or Symbia, and occupy a gray middle ground wherein they are nothing more or less than Dales. Each Dale has slightly different laws, custom, and military organizations. Many rely on the work of charismatic heroes and adventuring companies for aid in times of trouble, and a large number of these individuals use the region as a base. This attraction for adventurers is further increased by the large number of elven and pre-elven ruins in the area and the departure of the elven court for Evermeet, leaving the woods open for exploration and exploitation. The history of the Dales is filled with battles and attacks on its various members. In the Year of the Worm, 1356 DR, Scardale, under the command of Lashan Amersair, launched a number of swift attacks, conquering a number of the surrounding Dales. A coalition of forces from the others, as well as Symbia, Cormyr, and Zental Keep, crushed the invaders and occupied Scardale. During the time of troubles, 1358 DR to 0 PR, Shadowdale was attacked by Zental Keep. More recently, the Dalelands have committed forces to a unified army under King Alzun the Fourth of Cormyr to turn back the Tugan invasion in 1360 DR. Pretty cool.
Shouldn't we be doing something useful with this time?
History of the Chosen of Mystra. We'll probably... Oh my god, this is another big book. I like these history books, though. The reason why Mystra, the goddess of magic, invested a portion of her divine might into the mortals is not known. One of the more popular theories, and one that is gaining more support in light of the goddess's other actions during that period, is that Mystra foresaw the time of troubles and her own passing at the hands of Helm, and chose to give some of her power to mortals in order to ensure that her successor, the female mage Midnight, as it turned out, would have a number of nearly immortal allies in the struggle against the schemes of the gods, the now dead Bane, Baal, Merkel, and Baal, who precipitated the time of troubles by stealing the Tablets of Fate. The theory goes on to suggest that Mystra informed Azuth at approximately the year of the Rising Flame, more than 1,300 years before the time of troubles, that some of her power must be put in the hands of mortals who would then become known as Mystra's Chosen. This power would sleep within the bodies of those mortals, allowing Mystra to call on it only with their permission. It would give the Chosen the innate ability to heal quickly, and would give them lifespans far greater than those of ordinary mortals. Mystra speculated that these mortals might be able to call on her power, and thereby gain some special abilities, but that these powers would not rival those of a deity. The goddess of all magic then began to select mortals as she thought to be suitable. One of the first was the young mage Elminster. She also singled out a promising wizard named Kelvin Aronson. Both have proved to be worthy and capable receptacles of her power, but Mystra's other early attempts to invest her power in living humans were unsuccessful, and she came to realize that only very few mortals were of stern enough substance to contain such power within themselves without being destroyed and corrupted. Even though some people aside from Elminster and Kelvin may have possessed the required strength, It is possible that having lived for years prior to being visited by Mistra had set them on a
What are
path
we
from
just
which they
standing
were
around
not able
for?
to deviate.
Golden glory isn't going to rain from the sky, you know.
Shut up, Jahira. Whatever the reason, the problem needed to be solved. To get around the difficulty, Mistra devised a plan to use herself as a vessel to breed individuals who could be nurtured and acclimated to her power from the very beginnings of their lives. For the father of these individuals, she picked the best example of human stock she could find, Dornall Silverhand, a nobleman and former harper who lived near Neverwinter. Mistra then possessed the body of Elu Shundar, a half-elven sorceress who Dornall was already attracted to. Mistra revealed her presence and her plan to Elu, who happily and eagerly agreed to have the goddess share her body. Elu then had been reluctant, but under the influence of Mistra, the woman became a seductress, and Dornall found his advances being suddenly returned with great fervor. Dornall and I can't speak, were wed in the year of the Drifting Stars 760 DR. The first of 7 daughters, Anastra Silune, was born in the following winter. Silune's 6 sisters emerged at 1-year intervals thereafter. Dewey Illustrial, Umbara Dove, Athena, I'm assuming, Astorma, she prefers the shortened Storm these days, Anamune Laeral Silverhand, Alasra Shintantra, known today as the Symbol, and Erisea Quille, I believe. These siblings have become known in Realmsian lore as the Seven Sisters. Dornall, who had been kept in the dark about his wife's true nature throughout the years, presumably because Mistra didn't want to risk losing his services, was disappointed and nearly distraught by the time his 6th child was born. He'd always wanted sons as well as daughters. More importantly, he was seeing his wife deteriorate right before his eyes. The strain of coexisting with the goddess all these years had turned Elui into a withered shell, in essence, a lich clinging to life only because Mistra's power was within her. When Elui was carrying the 7th child, Dornall consulted a priest who told him his wife had been possessed by an entity of great magical power. To spare both of them any further agony, he attempted to slay his wife's physical form by severing her head from her body. Man, communication is severely lacking in Old Forgotten Realms. As soon as he had done this, Mistra was forced to reveal herself to him, and she went on to explain her scheme. Just as she had worried would happen, Dornall was aghast at how he and his wife had been used by the goddess. He turned his back on the corpse of his wife, abandoned his lands and his children, and vanished into the north. Mistra bore him no ill will. Should have. And in fact, protected him for the final 30 years of his life. When Dornall finally did meet his end, he called out to Mistra, and the goddess granted him continued existence as her servant. Now known as the Watcher, Dornall Silverhand travels the world unseen by mortals on a continuing mission to locate candidates to swell the ranks of the Chosen and to identify possible threats to Mistra and her minions. That's dumb. I mean, that's a great bit of lore, but Dornall's response to all of that is dumb. And we're getting... serve the I figured that was gonna happen. So what we're actually gonna do, we got to read that lore. We're gonna jump out real quick. I'm gonna go back in, or I'm gonna try to go back in, and I'm gonna see. So we definitely got caught because we took from the chest. I'm gonna go upstairs and see if there's anything else we can get that maybe's out of sight, out of mind, you know, or more books. Because I really like the books. There are more books. But before I read for another half an hour, because that's basically what I've been doing, I'm going to go ahead and stop this episode here, and I will see you all next time.